Over the last 7 to 8 months, I've been working in a recruitment agency and I have dealt with hundreds of different types of candidates. And obviously, one thing on this channel as well is I really promote the idea, especially for you young candidates, to be getting in touch with agencies and building those relationships as early as possible. One thing I always talk about is the agencies are always going to represent candidates really well, that are respectful, well presented, and are looking to build a good relationship with the recruitment agency. But I want to tell you guys a bit of a story about what happens on the other side of things. So your candidate to recruiter connection is good, but then what happens when the agency actually does put you forward to someone and that doesn't go well, and having a look at the results of these actions. So I wanted to share with you guys a little bit of a story. So essentially, this was in my first job, and we were working for a new client. Like the company was new, but the person that we had met into the company, we had known, or the company, our director had known him for a while, and he had moved to a new company and he wanted to build that relationship with his new company with our recruitment agency. So it was good. Everybody in the company had a good perception of us, because even though our relationship was new, the person that my director had known, or my boss had known, had spoke really highly of her and the company and the quality of candidates that we put forward, which is good. So already there's that little bit of like a halo effect, that they think and they believe that who we're going to send over is going to be of good quality. It's going to be done after a thorough analysis, all of that good stuff. So we're already in a good position with them before we had even sent over anybody, which is really important, but it was really nice. So anyways, we'd put out the ad for this job. We had done the screenings, we had done a couple of internal interviews, and we had found a really good candidate. On paper, this guy had ticked a lot of the boxes. On paper, he ticked a lot of the boxes. He spoke quite well, he presented really well, and there was no real red flags for him when, dealing with the internal interview process. Anyways, we then briefed this guy and we put him forward for the client interview, and we basically had said, this is our candidate. We believe he's really good. We believe he technically ticks all your boxes. You want someone who can do A, B, and C. He can do that. He's very smart. He's charismatic, etc., etc. So they already have this good perception of us. We're now sending over this candidate that we believe is good. You're thinking this is all going to work out. They've got their ideal candidate. They trust the business, etc., etc. All good. Anyways, we then fast forward a couple of days and we didn't hear back from the company straight away. We heard back from the candidate. The candidate said he felt the interview went really well, he spoke quite well, and he's confident that he can do the job that's required. So we heard that and we were like, oh, this is really good to hear. This is really positive. Anyways, we finally hear back from the business after a couple of days, and they basically said to us, like, he wasn't good. Which is normal. Sometimes you put forward a candidate and they'll be like, look, thanks but no thanks. He can do A, B, and C, but he can't do X, Y, and Z, and that's fine. But this analysis and this review, it felt a lot more detailed. It felt a lot more personal. It was just like, he wasn't nice. He was too arrogant. He was very cocky. He was late. He didn't apologize for being late. All of that sort of stuff. Okay. And then they said this one line, which we couldn't believe. It was just, we were surprised you'd send a candidate of his quality over to us. And I remember my boss really thinking about that, thinking, okay, well, like, something's gone really wrong here, but I can't figure out what. We found out on the day as well. We found out, later through the business, that when he had conducted his interview, the candidate we're talking about, when it came to actually answering questions and whatnot, he did a lot of verbal vomit. Like, he wasn't actually answering the questions. He got lost in his speech a lot of the time. He came late, didn't apologize, messed up everybody's day around him. And this just left a very sour taste in the company's mouth. And it gave a very disappointing taste in our mouths, because here we are. We've got this new relationship with the company itself. We have this reputation, and now, I don't want to say we've destroyed it, because you don't destroy a relationship that quickly, but you've now created a big question mark around us, which was something that we weren't really happy with, and something that it can hurt a lot of businesses, and it can hurt a lot of candidates as well. And this is what I'll explain What I learned from this situation is that representation of company is just as important as how you represent yourself. You know, it's very, very important that, you know, when you are going into these job interviews, you got to understand, yes, you're representing yourself, but if you're going through an agency, you're not only representing the agency firsthand, you're representing the idea of getting a callback. You're representing the idea of keeping that relationship and representing the idea of, you know, maintaining your own reputation. You know, when we were dealing with this candidate internally, we thought he was great. We thought he ticked the boxes. We thought he was really good, technically really good, socially very nice, very good people person. We thought all of that. But then to just see a complete change, like we were genuinely confused. You know, we're confused. We didn't understand. We also didn't like how he didn't tell us that he was late. We didn't like how he didn't tell us, you know, about anything that may have been a red flag to him, you know. And yet from the other side of things, the business was so anti him, and we were very, very surprised by all of this. But what I learned from all of this is just that idea of going into an interview as polished as possible and prepared to not only represent yourself, but represent the company or the agency that you're going through as best as possible as well. Because what happens here is that everybody is a reflection of everyone. And that's something that you need to learn as well when you're going into your first job, is that everything you do is a direct representation of the company, okay? Even if you're dealing with a client or you're dealing with a customer and your email is spelled poorly, or, you know, your email is not written right, or, you know, you're a little bit short-tempered one day and you lose your patience with someone, like a customer or a client, whatever it is, whatever you do to lose your cool, they're not going to care about why you did it. They're just going to associate you with the company, and it's going to have a bad reflection, okay? And that's going to be as a result of you. You don't want to have that. You're probably already thinking to yourself, yeah, well, I know that. I know I'm not going to do that, blah, blah, blah. But it's very easy to understand, or to forget, I should say, everything you do, how many different people you're representing, you know? You're not just representing yourself, you're representing your company, you're representing an ongoing relationship, you're representing future relationships, you know? What was stopping that anybody from that company that we had sent that candidate off to then go off and badmouth our agency to other people? You know, I don't think they did that, but that could definitely have happened. You know, this business could have gone on and said, oh yeah, I'm not going to work with this agency anymore. They've only worked with us once, but they sent over this dreadful candidate. You know, what happens to this candidate now? You know, we are now really reluctant to work with him again. You know, when you're working with an agency, we have our internal database and we always keep notes on our candidates. So we'll always say, like, you know, this is James. James presented really well. We put him forward for an interview with this company. It didn't work out, but keep him in mind for other roles in this field. Okay. We have notes like that. You know, now that you've gone and done this, that goes on your account. That's flagged, that's filed. And we say, look, went into this interview, got a really bad report, came late, be wary of using him next time, you know. And that means now that, say you're going in for another job with 50 other applicants or 100 other applicants, we're going to say that no, compare that to somebody who doesn't have any notes and that we know nothing about. Who are we more inclined to engage with? The one with no bad track record, you know? So you got to understand that in the corporate world, things can compound very, very easily and things can stick very, very easily, okay? So how to apply these lessons, how to actually take on board what I've said, is literally every interaction you do, be professional. Every interaction you do, understand all the factors at play, understand all the potential relationships you could be burning, you could be improving, you could be ruining, you could be strengthening, all of it, okay? You need to conduct yourself with top professionalism and understand the severity of everything that you do and all the people you represent at length, okay? I hope you guys got some value from this video. If you are interested in working with me on a one-to-one level, click the link below for a free consultation. Happy to have a 30-minute chat and work out your goals. Hope you guys enjoyed this video and this story. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.